Welcome, buenas noches. Today is September 24th. Gente, everyone that's listening to me, bienvenido. Welcome to the one and only, often imitated but never duplicated indie wrestling show. I'm your hostess with the mostest, the custom-made man, the 16-hour man, Chris Awesome, Mr. Satisfaction to some of y'all. And as everybody knows, I'm Mr. Right Now because I give the people what they want to see right now. And right now, the Indie Wrestling Show is proud to present a great show. But before we get started, some business I got to take care of. I want to give a shout out to Coach Lee and my crime partner, Uncle Leroy Jr. Don't say the Leroy without the Jr. My man is out on assignment in Jacksonville, Duval County, watching them Jacksonville Jaguars going on against those Miami Dolphins tonight. He's on special assignment. So tonight, Chris Castillo, Mr. Right Now, has got a great action-packed, fast-paced show. And shout out to my cool Bullet Club shirt. For those of y'all watching on YouTube Live, Spotify, and Facebook Live, the Indie Wrestling Show, welcome. And thanks for looking at the visuals. I know I'm making that night for you special. And before we go any further, I want to give a shout-out to Sports Talk with Friends, all the sponsors there. If you're not with Sports Talk with Friends, find them on Facebook, friend request, join the group, get involved, lots of merch, giveaways, over 2,000 strong members, fantasy sports out there. So please get involved. Now, tonight's show, that's end of our first segment. So we already gave a shout out to Uncle Leroy Jr., Sports Talk with Friends. And I want to give a shout out to all my friends in Laredo, Texas, Corpus Christi, and Texas wrestling in general. Everyone out there staying strong and keeping the grind on during this COVID-19 pandemic. Now, tonight's show, like every show we have every week, is dedicated to somebody. And this week, it's dedicated to one of my favorite tag teams of all time. I'm talking about the greatest of all tag team, and I can say that without a doubt. It's the Road Warriors, the Legion of Doom, Hawk and Animal. You're talking about two huge, larger-than-life characters, just big and strong. When you heard that Ozzy Osbourne song, Iron Man, you know it was clobbering time or slobber-knocking time. You knew that something was going to happen, and it wasn't good for the other guys. I mean, they wrestled the Horsemen. Without the Legion of Doom, there would be no Four Horsemen. There would be no Fabulous Freebirds. So you are only as good as your competition. And let me tell you, they don't make them like that no more. You millennials, you guys just don't know what a legit tag team there is until you go study and watch a film of the Road Warriors. And when you go out there, make sure you tell them, Mr. Right Now sent you. Now, without any further ado, I'm going to go ahead and put a short clip of our next guest, and then, I got a special treat for you. So right now, let me go ahead and get that started. We're live right here, right now. So, and let's play. There you go.
2 minutes and 57 seconds off the fourth round, declaring your winner from San Antonio, Texas, it's His opponent, right here in Laredo, Texas, Three-minute rounds. Introducing first, and to you by way of Far, Texas. We get 150.
So that's who we got tonight. If you haven't figured out, it is professional combat sports announcer, my friend, your friend, our friend. I'll get to his name right now because usually he's the one doing the announcing. For those of you didn't know, Mr. Right Now used to do a little bit of announcing back in the day. Not as good, but just good enough. So tonight without any further ado, let me introduce my next guest. He is from San Antonio, Texas, but now fighting out of the Gateway City, the home of champions, Laredo, Texas. Everyone at this time, please welcome to the Indie Wrestling Show, Christian Smith. All right, welcome to the show. Christian. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
I'll tell you what, doing my hair still. Thanks so much to Mr. Right Now, Chris Awesome, to be here on the South Texas Wrestling Show. I'm just really excited because I watch this show. I'm a fan of the show.
Well, thank you.
I mean, this is what we all love. You know, the show represents, those people that are passionate about wrestling. That's why it's good to watch this every week. You get to know the people a little bit better. So I appreciate the introduction, and yeah, like I'm saying, I really appreciate you having me as a guest on the show tonight.
Yeah, you're welcome, and thanks for making the time to be here on the Indie Wrestling Show. We know you're really busy out there in Laredo, Texas. You got a big schedule going on. I mean, especially you're involved with the reason I said combat sports, and not a lot of people just say they're ring announcers. No, you're into MMA, boxing, pro wrestling. You've done TV auctions, storage wars. No, I'm just playing, not storage wars auctioneer.
Yeah, I did. Once I was on there in
You
the back.
probably were. You were.
It was in Dallas once.
I didn't know that, but I was right on accident. So, what also, if you haven't noticed, I'm wearing my COVID-19 Sports Talk with Friends mask. Just want to give a quick merch drop right there before I went further. But tonight, before we get started, I want to tell Christian Smith, thank you for being out here. He's been a previous guest when we were just starting out, when nobody knew who the Indie Wrestling Show was back then. Since then, we've grown. Want to say hi to all the fans out there. Christian Smith's got hundreds, I mean, maybe thousands of fans. I don't know. He's been growing and blowing up out there. He's everywhere every weekend. So, with that being said, I'm going to jump right into the interview. So, what types of I've done some of them, but what types of announcing have you done so far in your announcing career?
Well, I mean, primarily where I started out, my roots are indie wrestling, South Texas indie wrestling, and from there it evolved into professional boxing, amateur boxing, the Olympic trials, um, professional, amateur, and professional MMA. And what I really like to shock people with is when I say semi-pro women's tackle football. The Laredo Warhawks, I've been their announcer for the past couple of years. Done the baseball game here or there. I love it all, the live sports. I mean, primarily my main focus is pro boxing and MMA these days. And I mean, I just love the atmosphere. I love getting behind the microphone. I try to make the participants look as glamorous as possible, make it as exciting as I can for the fans. And if I can do that, I find that very rewarding for myself.
That's awesome. It's very exciting, and a lot of people and you youngsters out there, listen up. I mean, people just don't know. I mean, it's hard to be a pro wrestler and athlete, but if you haven't noticed, not too many people get that microphone. So you got to have what I call mic skills in the business, which I've just been self-taught, but you're a professional, so big shout out to you for that. And speaking of shout outs, I almost stole your thunder tonight, and I was going to kind of take away your saying, like Michael Buffer says, let's get ready to rumble, and, it's time, and it's showtime, all that. But you have, and I'm not going to do it. What is your go-to saying that really hypes up the crowd and gets them ready for that big main event fight? What do you say?
I have two now, because I couldn't decide in between the two, so I found a way to combine them both. I would say it's time for the action and the main attraction, and then my other one was when I would say Ladies and gentlemen, this is tonight's main event. So tell everybody in the city, tell everybody in the town that it's about to go down. And
Wow, that got me hyped up. That's got me ready to go.
the way I got to mix the two is that the first one I just say is I say, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the action in the main attraction. I do that for the semi main event, and then I save the go down. And so it was really hard. It was between those two. I especially the second one. I like to say it where the fans can say it with me, and I really put an extra emphasis on it because the main event is the climax of the show, and that's what people want to see, and they've been waiting for it. And so you have to put more showmanship or a certain emphasis on how that presentation is made to emphasize just how significant and how important it is to that evening's festivities. So you make sure that everybody ends the night on a high point.
Yeah, that sounds interesting. I might even, I'm a single man now. I might even try that, on one of my date nights. I might just, at the end of the night say, ma'am, it's now time for the action in the main attraction. See, maybe it works for the crowd. Maybe Mr. Right Now will try that out. But Mr. Right Now will probably be going home with Mr. Right by himself. Probably. Just wanted to throw that out there. Now, let me ask you something. I talked to you about announcing, and let me get back to the indie wrestling part. So, what are some things that you like or dislike about doing a typical indie wrestling show? I'm not talking about All Elite Wrestling or a big finance group, but just a regular indie wrestling show. What do you like and what do you not like?
Okay, that's a good question. I like, obviously, the venue has to be something clean, accessible to the people, to where it's not too big, not too small, but a decent area. And in indie wrestling, you have to be realistic. You can't expect anything extravagant or overly special because it's not WWE or AEW or Ring of Honor. You have to be realistic. The event, one thing I like is starting within about 5-10 minutes of the bell time. That just shows respect to the fans. One thing I hate is a show, whether I'm announcing or a fan, where it doesn't start for 30 or 45 minutes or an hour and a half. And the fans don't know when is this going to start. They may have to be somewhere. It's just disrespectful to the fans.
Yeah.
I believe that the announcer needs to look like an announcer. He needs to at least have a suit. I have tuxedos. The referees have to look like referees, or because they're representing the face of the company. The
Well,
announcer.
let me stop you right there, though. But what does a referee look like?
Well, stereotypical, maybe like a black and white striped shirt and matching black pants or a baby blue shirt. And if it's a good promotion, they're going to have the logo in the right corner of the chest. That looks good because you can. Sometimes people think, "Oh, nobody cares and nobody picks up." Yeah, they do. The fans pick up on that if a ref or an announcer doesn't look like they really care. Because if I go to a show and I see the announcer come out in a backwards baseball hat and a t-shirt and shorts or changas or sandal shoes or whatever, I immediately think, if this guy doesn't care, why should I? Why should I pay $8 or $12 or $20 or whatever? And why should the fans? Attire is a lot. The other thing, the locker room, no matter where it is, it needs to be closed off to the fans. And to where the fans cannot see what's going on back there. My biggest pet peeve at an indie show is when one of the wrestlers finishes his or her match and then they come sit in the crowd or they walk through the crowd. I think that totally kills the shine of what the wrestler just earned. Like if they were getting people, telling him to go to hell and he sucks this and sucks that, and they legit, hate that guy, and then, 10 minutes later, after he goes back in the back, he comes out in his normal clothes with his family and sits next to you and starts eating popcorn. It just kills the showmanship, kills the person who he was up in that ring. Because the people that pay don't pay to see you, they pay to see the wrestler up there. And you need to respect that. Other than coming out for an autograph signing, which that's okay. The wrestlers have the right to make more money on their merch and their fans want to meet them. That's okay. But to come out as a casual fan, or when you just see one of the wrestlers just casually walking to the bathroom, or they go to get a hot dog and popcorn, without their gear, just all normal. Put it.
That's the main rate for some of those guys you're talking about. That popcorn and hot dog. That's what they're getting paid for.
Well, it depends on where they're wrestling. They need to. Remember that people paid to see them as a actual performer up there in the ring. As for me, I wear a tuxedo. Like I said, I come ready. I act like an announcer. I'm not a good guy or a bad guy. I'm just supposed to be a friendly guy that everybody likes, and I'm not going to incorporate myself in the show just presenting and making the product look professional, because I feel like I owe that to the promotion and to the fans that paid. And I try to make the wrestlers look as good as they can because, if they're good wrestlers, they've been busting their rear ends, training hard. They put a lot into this. Sometimes they've driven hours on end just to be in the show. And I feel like I owe it to them, the fans, the venue, especially ultimately the boss is a promoter. And I got to do what the promoter wants. And tone it up, be louder, be more enthusiastic, be less enthusiastic. Or just they say, Christian, do whatever. You've done this for years. So those things, I think that the wrestlers should bring merchandise. It's another good way to make money and market yourself. Always remember, though, you do owe something to whoever is sitting at the merch table. You've got to give them some type of compensation for doing that. You just can't say, here, sell my shirts, because who wants to sit there and start taking money? Give them something for doing that. Obviously, nowadays you have to have a Facebook page, even a .com, get promo pictures made, sell them at the merch table. I like that is good about an indie show. The lighting has to be there. The music has to be on point. If you can hire a professional DJ, that's good sound. It's small things like that just make the overall production better. And then the fans remember that and they want to come back to that show. Going back to pet peeves, I don't like it when a promoter incorporates himself too much in a show.
Are you talking about promoters who are the announcer, general manager, wrestler, promoter, and then they take pictures with the names in the back and they think they're bored and they pick them up at the airport? Those guys?
And even if they're wrestling and they make themselves like champion of their own promotion or something, I believe that the promoter has a right to be a part of the show. But it has to be limited on how many times they can come out. One time maximum. I like indie shows where there's maybe 2 promos cut. I don't like it when there's too many promos cut because it's like, shut up.
Well, most wrestlers can't cut a promo. And yet I'm calling them out and challenging them. And those are the ones who, all those things you talked about, those are all untrained, backyard. I got trained by my Tio Joe. And I do lucha shows and, up there in Dallas for $2. The guys who are trained are going to do all those things that you said, be professional, stay in the back. They're going to do all those things. But the problem here is the guys who are untrained, and then you got promoters who are mainly, and I'm gonna get people kind of upset, but they're money marks. They ain't really leaders. They just got money, but they don't know how to be leaders of men and women. So when you have that, you have chaos, you have wrestlers in the crowd, you have all kinds of stuff. But when you have a good leader, you're gonna have a good team. And when you have trained wrestlers, you're gonna have a great show. Just like when you get a good professional announcer like Christian Smith, go hit him up on social media. He'll make your event look more professional. You see how I plugged that in right there? See, I take care of my guests. Now, moving right along, you were recently signed by one of the greatest of all time, not only female, but great boxers of all time ever. I'm talking about Christy Martin. She's fought Mia St. James. I mean, the list goes on. Anyone who's anybody, she's fought him and she probably beat him. So, what promotion did she sign you with, and what is that all about?
Well, she just recently decided she needed a new announcer, and I was at the right place at the right time. We started talking. The fan in me, I was just so excited. She lives in Austin, not far away, and I didn't even know that. And we just arranged this meeting at a Whataburger to sign the contract. And I just remember waiting for her. I was so, I mean, it's the Christy Martin.
Yes.
I watched her for years. Greatest women's boxer of all time. Been on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Fought on the Mike Tyson undercards and often stole the show. I was at Whataburger, and I just remember when I saw her pull up, she had this nice Lexus, Florida plates, and she used to live there, so I knew it was her. And I'm like, she came through the door, and she'd never met me, so I nearly jumped. I mean, like, I was, okay, calm down. And so she sat with me, and I was trying not to be too much of a fan, because of course I'm a fan. And we signed the contract, and I did my first show with Christy Martin Promotions in Daytona Beach. I announced the Ocean Center out there. A beautiful arena right on the beach. It was like, wow. Teamed up with Gardner Payne, who manages by Gardner Payne Promotions. He is Christy's partner, and she was completely professional. I mean, just savage in the ring. Awesome, aggressive, mean, bam, bam, bam fighter, winning almost every fight she ever fought. And then outside the ring, totally a down-to-earth, kind, good person.
Uh-huh.
It's just hard when the fan in me, I'm just used to, I mean, I'd see her bloodied nose. I mean, fought just like Chavez or Tyson. I mean, was savage in the ring. But getting to know her, a very good, calm, she's not arrogant person. And the first ever woman voted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame, long overdue. And I'm happy she's getting that honor. It's still long overdue. And I'm proud to say that I'm Christy Martin, coal miner's daughter, her voice. And there's going to be a movie with the A-lister Amy Schumer's going to play her in that movie. Don't know when it's coming.
What's the name of her promotion, though? I mean,
Christy Martin Promotions.
So that's what's called Christy Martin Promotions, just like, named after her.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, that's good to know. Now, another question I want to ask you is, one of your upcoming shows and previous shows that you were at was Atlas Fights MMA, an up-and-coming MMA promotion. And people who don't know Mr. Right Now, I love wrestling, but I also love watching mixed martial arts, stuff that I can't do. But how can people, like, say me, I want to watch Atlas Fights. Where can I go? What do I got to do to watch the show so I can see you in there and I can also watch some MMA fights?
Well, there's a very interesting concept, an app called Fight TV, FITE.TV. And the reason why it's such a blessing to people that are whether you're an announcer, a commentator, or a fighter, or a promoter, or ultimately a fan, you can have access to seeing promotions that, I mean, normally you say order an MMA pay-per-view. Up until this came about, it was just UFC. and I love UFC, but sometimes you need a break from it. You want to see an alternative. You want to see something different. You want to see the guys that are trying to make the UFC. I mean, that's very attractive to a lot of fans to just see that level that's, below UFC. And I have been announcing for Atlas Fights. Now, I announced for them in Biloxi, Mississippi, September 12th. It was my first show, and then I'm going to be announcing on October the 3rd. That's the following weekend. Also available on FITE.tv. It's going to be several exciting fights, and for $15, just $15. That's not 50, 50, 1 5, $15. You can watch the entire pay-per-view, and those Southern boys, they come to fight. The promoter, his name is Glenn Matina Jr., very, very, very smart man. He has got everything down packed. I mean, he's had years of experience, and this is not one of those promotions once a year, twice a year. He's looking to make it I don't know what the proper word, franchise, I'm not sure, but a consistent promotion where it's looking like almost every 3 weeks. We're looking at Louisiana, a casino out there. I mean, he's continuing. I mean, this guy knows what he's doing. And
so I got to growing. Yeah, and you said some of my favorite words. You said MMA, Louisiana, and casino. So as soon as those dates come out, Mr. Right Now would be there right now. Casino, Louisiana, MMA. I'm all about that. Yeah, and I like what you said about Fight TV. You download the app, create a profile, you just register. It's easy. You put your credit card. They also have lots of free MMA fights there, boxing, pro wrestling. So it's unlimited. So thanks for Christian Smith bringing that up tonight. Now, we're coming near the end of the show. We got 5 minutes left, but we want to thank you for being here. But before I let you go, is there any message to your fans or supporters or that you want? Well, actually, I'm sorry. We'll get to that next. What are your upcoming events? Like, where can the fans see you next? Where's your next upcoming shows?
Well, tomorrow I'm going to be driving to Houston. There's going to be a exhibition event because in Texas, it is illegal to have events as far as TDLR professional. This is going to be just exhibition events. Tomorrow in the Houston area, Pasadena. It's called KO COVID. And the gentleman in charge, his name is Ray Trujillo. And if you want to look him up to get involved, it's ReyTrujillo. Ray Trujillo. KO COVID. He represents True Bloodline MMA and Fitness. Ray is a really respected mixed martial artist who's fought all over, who's held gold all over. I've announced for him in MMA and pro MMA and pro boxing. Very talented guy. He's putting together his own promotion in Pasadena. It's going to be all going down Saturday night, September the 26th. If you want to learn more, Google up True Bloodline Fitness, True Bloodline MMA and Fitness. If you want to contact Ray, R-E-Y, Trujillo, once again, Ray Trujillo. We're going to be having several exhibition bouts. The weigh-ins are tomorrow, so I'm leaving tomorrow for Houston, getting the tux ready. Bringing my family out there. Going to be announcing for Ray. I'm going to have competitors from all over Texas. It's going to be from 6 to 11 p.m. Also available on pay-per-view. And once again, True Bloodline MMA and Fitness. That's going to be Saturday. The following Saturday is you can see Atlas Fights, October the 3rd on Fight TV. We're going to be having several exciting bouts. I'm going to be announcing and commentating with Matt Bricker, who does a great job. We worked together on the last time. Just really excited about, I will go ahead and confess this. I announced in Mobile, Alabama last year for James Mills, Southeastern Combat Championship. James, great guy. Those Southern boys get down. They fight. I didn't really know the MMA scene was that. It's huge in the South. I'm talking Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana. Louisiana produced Dustin Poirier of UFC, and I mean, several big names are coming up and coming from out of there. So you're gonna see an excellent card. Tomorrow is available on pay per view, and then Atlas Fights, and then Atlas. We're working on a date in Paragon Casino in Marksville, Louisiana. So you can enjoy these events from the comfort of your own home. And like I said, I support the big leagues per se, but it's also fun to see those up and coming fighters that have access to see how they do it, other names. You may see somebody participating that in 5 years is headlining UFC 300.
Okay, that sounds good. Kind of like in indie wrestling, you see some guys, and then next thing you know, they make it to the big show. Kind of like that, you know. So, with that being said, is there any message to your fans or supporters, the people who are supporting you out there? Any fans you want to give? I mean, any message you want to give out before we let you go tonight?
Well, I just want to say thanks to everybody that has ever gone to one of the events and made their voice heard no matter what they were saying. Um, all the promoters of promotions, special thanks to David Leal of Tough Texan, Christy Martin Promotions, Glenn Messina Jr. from Atlas Fights. Those are the people I'm currently working with, and I hope to continue to. I got several things in the works. I don't want to open my mouth about that yet, but I am looking to grow and expand and travel more of the United States, outside the country as well. That was supposed to happen, and then COVID got in the way. There's been several things that COVID stopped this year, but I love to announce. I love all the participants, the fans, everybody that buys it on pay-per-view or sends me a message. Just want to say thanks so much. Keep sharing the love for this sport, especially during pandemic season. It looks like MMA and boxing, they're stepping it up and they're finding a way around it. Wrestling too, AEW and WWE. I mean, I think AEW is doing awesome. And then some shows like SWE Fury out of Dallas that you can see on Fight TV, and they're killing it. The production with their show. I mean, what an awesome opportunity for Texas wrestlers or a reality of wrestling out of Houston. Get on those shows, get TV exposure. It's easier than it was 10, 20, 30, 40 years ago to get on TV. Now, with the Fight app or other things, and take advantage of that, push for that, it's a great way to get some exposure.
That's some very wise words to all those young wrestlers out there. And I want to tell you on behalf of the Indie Wrestling Show and Coach Lee and Uncle Leroy Jr. aren't here because they're in Florida watching the Jaguar game. Thank you, Christian Smith, for being on the show tonight. We really do appreciate it. And we will see you later on down the road. And good luck on your show tomorrow and the Atlas Fights. I'm really looking forward to seeing it. So once again, thank you for being on the show tonight.
Thank you very much.
All right. So what a show. It was great talking to Christian Smith, my friend, close personal friend of the show also. It was a good time. So for me, Christian Smith, Sports Talk with Friends Familia, Uncle Leroy Jr., and Coach Lee, and the whole staff supporting the show, everybody out there listening, all my Mr. Right Now fans,